Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Doreen here on Wednesday morning, September the 11th. Francine indeed strengthened overnight into a hurricane. It is now a strong Category 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds around 90 miles per hour or so. If those winds climb up to 96 plus, it would become a Category 2 hurricane, which certainly is in the realm of possibility over the next 6 to 10 hours or so. It likely makes landfall over the central portion of the Louisiana coastline late this afternoon or this evening, again, as a strong Category 1 or perhaps even a Category 2 hurricane. It then will move in a general northward direction over the southern Mississippi Valley region and grind to a halt somewhere over the western Tennessee Valley by the end of the work week, thanks to a very, very strong upper level ridge that's building over the southern part of Canada. Ultimately, this blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere could lead to another low pressure area right along the eastern seaboard by the time we get to, let's say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame of early next week. Whether that will be tropical in nature remains to be seen. It could be a subtropical storm, but nonetheless, there is a chance for a strong low pressure right along the eastern seaboard by the early part of next week. And that could bring some heavy rains up to the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. later next week. We'll talk about that over the next several minutes. This is the latest, the geocolor image loop of Hurricane Francine, basically centered back in this region. You can see kind of some blow off here. There is a little bit of shear that's blowing, southwesterly shear that's blowing the clouds from southwest to northeast. It is starting to accelerate a little bit compared to yesterday. It's now moving 12 miles per hour to the northeast. Yesterday was kind of stuck at around 5 miles per hour for its movement, but again, a strong Category 1 hurricane makes landfall later today right in this area right here of Louisiana. Certainly New Orleans will be hit hard by this hurricane, and storm surge just to the right of where the storm actually moves over the coastline could be as high as 5 to 10 feet later on today and tonight. Again, moving gradually to the northeast, makes landfall by this evening over the central part of Louisiana, perhaps as a Category 2 hurricane. Well, here's the official storm track by NOAA's National Hurricane Center. I generally agree with this and have so over the past few days. I think they've had a pretty good handle on the situation. Again, right now, located right in this area over some very warm waters of the western Gulf of Mexico, moving northeast, beginning to pick up a little bit of speed, especially compared to yesterday, makes landfall right in this area right here. Let's say late this afternoon, early this evening. Again, storm surge just on the right side of the path will be as high as 5 to 10 feet. And certainly New Orleans and the southeastern part of Louisiana will get hit hard. Some areas could end up with a foot or more of rain out of this, not only across Louisiana, but portions of Mississippi as well. It then starts to slowly weaken, as is typical once the tropical system moves over land. Generally moves northward over the Mississippi River, right into the western part of the Tennessee Valley by the time we get to Friday or so. And that is where it kind of grinds to a halt in its northward progression as a result of very, very strong upper level ridging over the southern part of Canada. And it may end up actually kind of transferring some energy to this part of the South Atlantic coastline by the latter part of the weekend, the early part of next week. And there indeed could be a strong low pressure area situated right near the Carolina coastline by the time we get to Sunday or Monday. It's kind of a winter-like situation where you oftentimes get the primary lows moving up into the Appalachians, and then it transfers energy to the coast for a kind of a secondary low. Well, that's kind of similar to what could happen here as it grinds to a halt here. Certainly some of that moisture feeds into a developing low along the South Atlantic coastline, and maybe some of that energy as well. And again, could have low pressure right in this area by the early part of next week. Well, let's take a look at last night's 0Z run of the Canadian model. I'm sticking with that model. I think it's had a very good handle on the situation, and I like what it's suggesting here in the forecast time frame going forward for the next several days. Here we are beginning the day on Wednesday morning, September 11th. Now, let's move forward here. There's the reflection of Francine. Again, landfall right around the central part of Louisiana. Later today, early tonight time frame. And then it starts to weaken and slow down as it moves northward over the Mississippi River Valley region, the southern Mississippi River Valley. Look to the north here as of midday on Thursday. Very, very strong upper level ridging, building, intensifying right there over the southern part of Canada. This is Hudson Bay in Canada, and this is a very strong upper level ridge. And the result will be that Francine, the remnants of Francine by this time, just kind of grind to a halt right in the western part of the Tennessee Valley. Here we go all the way now into Saturday. You can see, again, very strong high pressure situated up here, just grinding to a halt the northward progression of Francine. And from this position here, it starts to send some energy down to the South Atlantic coastline. And watch this region right here by the time we get to the early part of next week. Now let's move forward here. Again, we're looking at the upper air here, the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps, and this is a very, very critical player in this overall blocking pattern in the atmosphere. Let's move forward here and notice this kind of stretching out to the South Atlantic coastline by the time we get to the second half of the upcoming weekend. And here we go, continuation of very strong upper level ridge over eastern Canada. And here's the reflection at 500 millibars from what will become a redeveloping or a new low pressure area near the South Atlantic coastline, Carolina coastline. Whether that's a true tropical system or subtropical system kind of remains to be seen, but kind of irrelevant in the big picture here. It looks like there can be a strong storm, whatever you call it, and it could end up producing a lot of rainfall across the middle Atlantic early to middle part of next week. But let's move forward here, and here we go. It's kind of a slow mover, and that's because of this blocking pattern right here. This continues to be just a blocking pattern right here over this eastern part of Canada with that upper level ridging. And here is that low pressure in the upper part of the atmosphere all the way out to next Tuesday. We'll go out another day or two here and see that it doesn't change too quickly, and that's what you get in a blocking pattern is what you see today may stick around for several days. And here we go all the way a week from today, next Wednesday the 18th, still have upper level ridging dominating Canada and upper level trough reflecting that surface low pressure area, which we'll take a look at next in the surface forecast weather maps here. But this is all the way out to next week. Again, Francine makes landfall today, moves up to the western Tennessee Valley, and then slowly works its way to the south and east by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. And here we are all the way out to the middle part of next week with the same scenario, upper level low over southeastern part of Canada and that strong ridge over southeastern Canada. Excuse me, that upper level low over the southeastern part of the U.S. Okay, let's wrap up now with the surface forecast maps. Strong high pressure over New York State this morning. Continuation of dry weather over the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S., and that'll continue for the next several days thanks to that very, very strong upper level ridge and surface high pressure over the northeast U.S., over the southeastern part of Canada. Here we go with Hurricane Francine here now. Again, it could strengthen a little bit more and work its way into Category 2 status. Only has to increase the maximum sustained winds about 6 miles per hour from 90 to 96 to become classified as a Cat 2. And here we go by the time we get to the midday, and here is landfalling time right around the central coastline of Louisiana. 980 millibar hurricane at this time. Again, strong Cat 1, perhaps a Cat 2, and 5 to 10 feet. Storm surge on the eastern side of that storm track. That means we're right in this area, right in here. And certainly some areas can get a foot or more of rain, not only Louisiana, but portions of Mississippi as well. And there'll be some significant rain across Florida and Alabama as well as eastern Texas. Now, we move forward here, and it moves right over the Mississippi River. It starts to weaken, as is typical of a tropical system. Once it moves over land, it kind of gets that cut off of its fuel from underneath the warm sea surface temperatures, specifically speaking. So here we go into the latter part of Thursday, and finally by the end of the work week on Friday, it just grinds to a halt right here. But you can see there's kind of a tropical feed of moisture extending out from the remnants of Francine by this time, midday on Friday, all the way to the South Atlantic coastline here. A lot of moisture here. And we go a little bit farther in time, and here's, by the way, is a surface, very strong surface level high right here. We saw it's backed up by very strong high pressure at 500 millibars. And we'll go a little bit farther out in time here. Watch what happens. You start to get this development right in this area right here. Again, it could be a tropical system, it could be a subtropical system, whatever it's called officially. It is kind of irrelevant in my mind. There will be a lot of moisture with whatever you call it down there, strong low pressure here, and it will be sitting and spinning for a while because of that strong high pressure ridge to the north and east. Ultimately, that rain could make its way, as is depicted here, all the way up into the Mid-Atlantic region. Let's say by the middle part of next week. Mid-Atlantic has been very, very dry. There's this potential here for a soak-in rain event from whatever you call it, the remnants of Francine that end up redeveloping low pressure along the east coast, and that could finally move north into the Mid-Atlantic region, let's say a week from right now, into the middle part of next week. We'll go out another day or two, and it's still a slow mover with that blocking pattern in the upper atmosphere and still having an impact from the Midwest and the Northeast U.S. a week from tomorrow. Again, that blocking pattern in the upper atmosphere, a key player here. Strong high pressure situated over Canada. So that's it for now. We have a lot going on across the tropical scene here, and certainly looks like it'll become quite active late September and October as well. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dordian.